completely agree with you. It's very easy to just go on Google and look up symptoms and self-diagnose yourself nowadays instead of taking the proper route and going to see a counselor and get the proper diagnosis and really understand what is it that you have and the correct treatment process. Um, okay, so our next question is, could you describe the level of impact each domain you mentioned has, and which one can be perceived as a priority for observation, analysis, and solution in the digitalized era?
The issue is that it's sad because what we're doing is we're normalizing mental health disorders, and this takes away the weight of the seriousness and the struggle that people actually have that have experienced the diagnosis. And so when we think about, the work that needs to be done in that domain, where youth are self-identifying and, the issues aren't being taken as seriously, I think we need to really help them to understand that it's okay to have those feelings. It's okay to have those emotions. There really is a strong link between social media and actual depression, self-harm, and suicide. But I think we need to really distinguish, the difference between a real mental health issue versus sad emotions that aren't necessarily interfering with our everyday lives. Just connecting with that and being okay with that. There really is a strong link. So it's something that we need to consider. When youth come in to me, I work with a lot of youth athletes. So when they come into me and we're talking about mental health issues, you start to really sort of decipher, is this a legitimate mental health issue? Or do they just need some psychoeducation around what it really means to have various issues, right? So really talking to them about sadness versus like real lingering sadness, and how sadness is normal, and again, similarly with anxiety, right? Talking with youth about different levels of anxiety and how a certain amount of stress is necessary to protect us and to allow us to function, right? And we have to pay attention to those signals and those alarms, and it's only really when it impacts your day-to-day life that we really want to start calling it a clinical level diagnosis. So I'm not sure if that answers the question that you're asking about the domains, the observation, and the analysis, but I think the key piece is really centered on distinguishing and creating awareness, and being in my role, being a participant observant. I have a 14-year-old boy. So as a parent, starting to understand his circle of friends and understand what's going on at his high school, and talking to parents, and really getting to the bottom of what's going on for our youth. In my dialogue, in my conversation with parents, where it's the same thing. It's kids are self-diagnosing. I think commonly we're seeing kids self-diagnosing with anxiety, depression, ADHD is a really big one. And so I think we have to be really aware of that and spend time thinking about, what sort of psychoeducation is needed in the school system, because it starts with youth, right? So, so I think the observation and analysis there is just really understanding the needs and noting that the need is actually quite urgent, so that there are high levels of youth that are dealing with mental health issues, and being aware also of what is available for youth when they are in need of it. So once we've distinguished that there is an issue, really understanding, okay, what do they need? And oftentimes I know it's somewhat similar in the US, but in Canada, it's very difficult to get in. We say about 47% of our youth say they need some form of mental health service. So, an analysis piece is really looking at what the real need is, but not every person has access. And so, we look to understand that it is an issue. And so in Western society, we are facing a mental health crisis, especially through COVID. And so the need is really urgent to provide the support services to help to prevent disorders from getting more severe, and really allowing the opportunity for youth and adults alike to explore their mental health.
There is a variety of technology solutions offered for both teachers and students. However, are educational institutions aware of the impact in mental health and how social media in response to it is affecting our students' performance?
I think at the university level, I think we're very aware of it. I think we spend quite a bit of time looking at different methods for understanding the impact of technology and where it can be beneficial in the classroom environments, but also just being aware that too much of it is not a good thing, and exposing our students to technology when it's really needed versus them using technology in the classroom when it's unnecessary. The awareness piece at our university, we're very focused on health and wellness, and so we take a real health and wellness focus, and it is the core of our academic plan. So as far as education goes, it's a really big piece of what we do in understanding health and wellness strategies, and understanding the benefits of technology and the impact that it has on someone's overall health and wellness. So we take a massive health and wellness focus, which I think is very important at a university level, to be very aware of students' mental health needs. And so I'm not sure if you're familiar with Okanagan Charter, but that's definitely a very positive kind of approach to on-campus experiences and ensuring that students have support services and those sorts of things available.
What are your thoughts in regards to maintaining a positive mental health and well-being in order to enable students and teachers to function well?
I think, like I was saying earlier, at the core of what we do at the university is health and wellness, and really considering mental health behaviors and making that a really important focus within the classroom environment. And so, in kinesiology, one of our paths for studying is health and wellness, and so it's the health promotion side, and then there's also, of course, the exercise physiology side. But ultimately, the goal in our courses is to move students through behavior change and have them set really positive goals for themselves to create an individualized plan to lead a healthy lifestyle. And so, and then to be able to actually carry that over outside of the classroom into the kinesiology field when they get into their career. So now they're influencing other people as well. But I always say that it starts with them first. And so the idea is to change behaviors and change daily routines and, to promote stress release and ultimately, to be able to minimize stressors in their everyday life, thinking about sort of the optimal sort of lifestyle. So in my classroom, we talk a lot about health and wellness. So we talk about, their sleep patterns, them getting adequate sleep. We talk a lot about gratitude exercises. So, thinking about, a gratitude journal and writing down things that you're grateful for. We talk a lot about laughter, and even thinking about getting outdoors more often and going for a nature walk. Our campus is located on Indigenous territories in North Vancouver, and it is an absolutely beautiful campus. We are surrounded by forest and hiking trails, and so we encourage our students to get outside and reserve time for getting outside and getting physically active. That is a very big part of our wellness programming. We practice meditation and mindful practice. And so, this idea of health and wellness and being able to take care of our mental health through physical activity, through movement, through, understanding meditation and mindfulness strategies, prayer and religious participation. There's so many various stress reduction techniques that we talk about, and this is an ongoing thing in their first, second, third, and fourth year. And as I said, our academic plan at the university is very much based around wellness. And so everything from faculty, staff, to students, there is a strong focus on that. We even have something called an active health program, which I can talk about, shortly. But some of the things that we do at the university to ensure, that people are considering their mental health and they're finding ways to be able to move through their stress and minimize, any severe mental health issues.
What's your professional opinion in the contribution of sports in mental health? We are aware of how innovative projects are impacting this ecosystem with the use of virtual reality or augmented reality, for example.
I think those two pieces are sort of separate. So as I said earlier, I think we have to be careful. Although in some ways they are connected, mental health and performance, definitely. But right now I'm a member of the Canadian Centre for Sport and Mental Health, which is a fairly new initiative put together by a group of professionals who are working in high performance environments. So it really is a mental health strategy to improve the mental health outcomes of athletes, coaches, and staff. And, the idea of this research and practice is to get, mental health professionals together in the area of sport and to talk about some of the greatest needs of our athletes. And so, the idea is that the more that we can get people talking about it and understanding it and educating them to be able to distinguish the difference between severe mental health issues and, emotions that actually very likely you can probably work through and find strategies to be able to lead a more healthy, well lifestyle. Really identifying that. And so our role through the center is to ensure that we're aware, we're able to diagnose, we're able to identify and work with athletes in high performance settings that are dealing with mental health issues. It's not uncommon. It's more common than people think. And so we're seeing a lot of research, that's looking at, the reasons, the causes of mental health issues. Is it different as it connects to high performance? And so the research really states that a lot of the issues, stem from environmental factors. So we're seeing a strong connection to either previous sport history, or family, like familial influence. And so, it's something to be very aware of, right? So, athletes aren't protected, necessarily just because they're in their sport bubble from mental health issues. And the more that we can talk about that, and start to understand that, I think the better off we're going to be, and the athletes are going to be in their performance. As far as like technology and augmented reality, I think there is room for that sort of technology, a lot of augmented reality and mixed mode reality sort of simulations. I know like video overlays and those sort of things can be very, very beneficial for athletes, who are in training. And so, again, separate from, when we're talking more of like a performance model, so where those athletes are, in their training environment, learning to develop new skills or to refine their already learned skills. And it can be incredibly beneficial. There's so many other uses for that kind of technology, but I teach motor learning actually at the university, and it is something that we spend quite a bit of time talking about, is skill acquisition and refinement. And so athletes, will perform a lot better if they develop the skill and they can make modifications in the moment. And the thing is this technology may even in the future replace coaching, because what we're seeing is, these overlays are so sophisticated that you can see the changes that you need to make, for example, to a golf swing or whatever the sport is. And so the individual is able to correct the movement, and it's pretty fascinating. So but yes, I think those two things are sort of separate. However, athletes who are performing well are usually happier, and those happier athletes usually are mentally more healthy. So there is a strong connection there. But I like to sort of think of those as two separate things, although there is that connection between mental health and performance for sure.
Yeah. So I just wanted to, in conclusion, just mention the idea of mental health, and, that when we have distinguished, and, when a youth or adult alike, recognizes that they may have some sort of mental health issue, one of the issues that does arise from that is that services are not always available, not always readily available in BC anyhow. And so, it's important that the work that's being done is recognizing that there really is a need, and to be able to help youth to navigate the system, and be able to find the support that they need, right? Because right now, there's wait lists. Let's say, for example, with psychologists, I don't know if it's the same in the States, but it can be really difficult to get in to speak to somebody.
Absolutely. Yes.
And 70% of mental health problems in Canada begin during childhood or adolescence. And so, and 17% of BC students reported they had seriously considered suicide. And this stat is like as recent as 2018. So this is like pre-COVID. And so 1 in 5 youth report experiencing mental health illness or substance use problems. And right now in British Columbia, we have something called the Foundry. And there is one that just opened up in my hometown, Foundry Langley. And it's a really good solution, and it is available for youth to find support and find help. And they have built Foundry Foundation across BC, and I know they are working towards increasing the capacity. But I just wanted to mention that, and just being aware of the resources that are available if youth, adolescents, adults need someone to talk to. And I know in the States, I know it's similar. It's probably a little bit different, like as far as the strategies, because the healthcare system is slightly different. But just, being aware that there are resources available, through Mental Health America, .net, and, there are other, the National Suicide Prevention Line, which is the same that we have. So I just thought it really important to mention that, because mental health, especially if someone is diagnosed with a mental health disorder, they need to know that they can get the support, and that there are resource lists available to them. So yeah, I just wanted to comment on that, and just make sure that people are aware that there is, in many places, community-wide efforts to try to ensure that people have those resources if it's needed. And the same thing at our university and many other universities, right, that really take that kind of wellness focus, and try to really infuse health into like everyday living, and pay close attention to those mental health signals, to be able to minimize the issues that arise from that.
And just letting everybody know that there is help out there if you do look for it. There is a lot of community support and resources. I enjoyed our interview today, and I thank you for bringing so much knowledge to JCI Miami and our audience.